Davy Scatino is often treated as a cautionary tale about predators circling the weak. That reading is convenient because it allows the story to be filed under victim and dismissed as inevitable. Unfortunately, Scatino is not a wounded innocent. He is a grown man with a gambling addiction, a talent for self-deception, and an almost heroic commitment to ignoring the word no. Start with the part that gets routinely blurred, the warnings. Tony Soprano tells him more than once that the executive game is not for him. Richie Aprile tells him the same, then escalates to an explicit boundary. Do not show up again until the debt is handled. Scatino responds the way compulsive gamblers do, by returning anyway, borrowing more, and insisting he has permission he does not have. He even takes money while Tony is asleep and uses Tony's name as collateral. That is not misfortune. That is calculated fraud dressed up as friendship. So no, sympathy is not automatic. A grown man made a wager. Then he made another wager. He lost both. The only twist is the persistence with which he insists the universe owes him a refund. And yet, pretending Tony had clean hands would require the kind of moral imagination usually reserved for bedtime stories. Tony's later comment about being interested in the store is the giveaway, not the confession. The moment Scatino reveals himself as a degenerate, someone already familiar with recovery meetings and still chasing action, Tony's posture shifts from reluctant friend to opportunistic creditor. The warnings begin to sound less like protection and more like a performance. Careful, this game is too exciting for a gambling addict. Reverse psychology is not exactly advanced strategy when the target is already sprinting toward the cliff. This is the point the subplot refuses to simplify. Two truths can coexist without canceling each other. Scatino is responsible for torching his life. Tony is responsible for noticing the flames and selling gasoline by the gallon. The mechanics of the bustout make that ruthlessness impossible to ignore. A bank or collection agency would squeeze, litigate, negotiate, and settle for structured repayment. Organized crime does not need court orders, and it does not care whose name is on a deed. The store being placed under Scatino's wife's control, an obvious attempt to firewall the family from his compulsion, does not slow anything down. Inventory is ordered for someone else to sell. Restaurant tabs and airline tickets appear as business expenses. Property and savings are extracted through intimidation rather than paperwork. Scatino hands over his child's vehicle and college fund because the mob does not enforce debt. It collects leverage. Collateral damage is where the moral posturing collapses. Scatino's wife and son did not gamble the future away. They simply live with a man who does. His most revealing moments are not at the card table, but at home, blaming his son for a scratch so he can surrender the boy's ride, then acting as if paternal lectures about responsibility will cover the theft of tuition money. Addiction explains the chaos. It does not sanctify the cruelty. Even the comedy of the subplot underlines the diagnosis. Scatino performs the exhausted provider routine, lamenting pool table felt, complaining about glare from a light, fussing over an overhead bulb, while hemorrhaging money in secret. The heavy mental load is always theatrical, never substantive. It is remarkable how quickly a life can collapse while the loudest emergency remains an inconvenient light fixture. Around this tragedy in slow motion, the supporting cast supplies a chorus of rationalizations. Christopher Moltisanti authorizes credit because Tony said he was good for it, a decision that reads as either incompetence or, in mob terms, perfectly adequate investment logic. Deepen the hole until bankruptcy becomes inevitable. Richie's cooler hustle sounds like a parody of entrepreneurship, street corner merch with criminal overhead. Yet even that absurdity serves a purpose: intimidation, compliance, and the steady reminder that escape is not the product being sold. Then there is the spectacle of stolen respectability. Tony accepting the son's vehicle and trying to pass it to Meadow, as if laundering misery through teenage convenience makes it cleaner. Whether Meadow accepts it or refuses it, the attempt is the same: an adult converting a child's loss into status. It is among Tony's colder moves precisely because it is petty, personal, and entirely optional. The finale to Scatino's arc delivers the most damning punchline. After losing his business and family, he is still talking about Las Vegas and nonstop flights, as though geography is the missing ingredient in his salvation. Recovery is hard. Accountability is harder. He chooses neither. Tony's little frog and scorpion routine is not folklore. It is branding, an attempt to sound principled while monetizing predictability. If he truly wanted Scatino out, the door would have stayed closed. The fact that it did not is the indictment, whether Tony was awake or asleep. And yes, the story even attracts the usual distractions: the Terminator nicknames, the Skynet detours, the T-1000 jokes, anything to avoid saying the obvious out loud. Scatino steals credit under Tony's name, survives only because old ties and shared school optics make murder inconvenient, then ends up still dreaming about nonstop flights to Las Vegas. That is not redemption. That is the disease, with a travel itinerary. Everyone loses, predictably.